The Talk Shop live in Studio 255, Rego on H&R Block. It's tax season, everybody. Chano's Village and the Benton Rusty, along with the Human Bean of Laramie and Perkins Restaurant and Bakery, bringing you this segment with Ismael Dominguez, artist of a new installation, MIGRACIon, BETABELEROS, and that will be in the Gorgon Gallery, Studio 332 of the Laramie Plains Civic Center. And you've got some props today. You brought some goods. How's the installation preparation going, Ismael?
It is going quickly. At least in terms of time.
As in time to opening is coming short.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I've
March 8th, right?
March 8th, this Saturday,
6 p.m.
Yep. My 9 to 5 has been very busy the last few days. I've been working, 12, 13-hour days.
There's some kind of law that says as one thing happens, another thing will rise up and remind you that it's always there.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
good.
So I've been priorities. Yeah, so I've been working.
But you've got help.
I do, incredibly so. So audio is already being set up and is finished. So that's been great. That's installed in the gallery. I am still type A enough that the actual making of specific physical pieces is not something I can let go of yet. So those are, those will be my next couple days. But
what is your installation?
It is, but with a lot of help.
So you're championing forward, and things are going well.
Yes.
Dynamite. What do you have behind you? Tell us a little bit about it. Well, first of all, for those that haven't joined us, the background of this installation is your family. It's your family story. It's heritage, and it comes from your roots in Powell, northern Wyoming.
Correct.
And beyond that, how personal is this event for you and your familia?
It's very, really personal because, these are like family stories that I've heard, at, parties, weddings, funerals, like all of those things. These stories always filter up. So for me, it's really important to be able to like bring those into the larger like zeitgeist, I guess, of like these are things that happened and these are things that contributed not only from my family, but other migrant workers from Wyoming that contributed to our agricultural industry.
Your family raised you with the choice to work the fields or not. And in some ways, it seems like this is a tribute. This is your field work in your way through art. And this installation is that testimony of appreciation, really, for all of that history, past and to the future, which you're taking into tomorrow.
Definitely. So I mean, I'm quite fortunate that my work, my field work is in my home studio sewing stuff of my own volition. But this is definitely an homage to them, to their effort, not only like my family, but also the other families that have been migrant workers in Wyoming and also agricultural workers across the world.
How many in your family will be able to attend March 8th, 6 p.m., the opening?
We will have one person who's coming down from Powell.
Okay.
Who is one of the storytellers, my mother.
Beautiful.
Stella,
I was hoping.
Stella Lamont Clark, yes. So she'll be coming down here.
I'm up.
And fortunately, I've just gotten word and the logistics figured out to have this piece up in Powell. So, and it's like actual home for the summer. So that'll
Wonderful.
be really good.
And so we're March 8th through April 30th. This right? Is that the date for the Gorgon Gallery
Correct.
viewing? And then through the efforts in Powell, you have, where will it be in Powell?
So it will be in the Plaza Diane in Powell, which is a small gallery, very like central downtown. Anyone who's familiar is probably seen it. There's a little splash pad outside. It's really cool in the summers. And it will be there. We'll have a reception on July 10th, and it'll be up there for all of July, and then a touch in August and a touch at the end of June.
So I want to let everybody know, Gorgon Gallery presenting MIGRACIon, BETABELEROS, an installation by Ismael Dominguez, exploring and celebrating personal heritage, the BETABELEROS of northern Wyoming and Wyoming's agricultural history. The gallery will be open for public viewing Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., and March 8th through April 30th, as we said. Opening reception and lecture from Dr. Escalante and Dr. Domenech, and that will be Saturday, March 8th, 6 p.m. Through 8 p.m. time period as well. The gallery is located in room 332 of the Laramie Plains Civic Center. You can find us and 50 organizations here in the Laramie Plains Civic Center, 710 East Garfield Street. Additional programming dates and times can be found as they are established at lpcccwy.org/Gorgon Gallery. And this program has been made possible through the partnership and partial funding of the Wyoming Humanities and the Gorgon Gallery, KOCA 93.5 FM, and Artelect. Tell me about each of those and their partnership with you, Ismael.
Yeah, so Coca, of course, being able to have just this incredible opportunity here in the studio, as well as, little snippets that have been being able to be dropped in through streaming has been incredible. A really great way to share, a deeper look, I think, into...
I'm glad we could help out. The Talk Shop proud to be
Yes.
Supporting Ismael Dominguez installation here in the Laramie Plains Civic Center. And tell us about the humanities, Wyoming Humanities and Gorgon Gallery, as well as Artelect. What do each of them as supporting partners bring to this being possible?
Yeah, so Gorgon Gallery is offering the space, as their donation. So it is not something that, I've been fortunate to build this rapport with them over several years now. I've been in a couple of their shows. Most recently, I curated a show for them in the fall. And then it was kind of out of that conversation that this opportunity came alive. So it's been a really incredible space that supports the vision of the project and to help incubate it and get it up on its legs.
Masterful.
Yes.
And the humanities, Wyoming Humanities. Tell us about them.
So that was a grant that we've received, a Spark grant. So it's all about the humanities. So understanding Wyoming culture, storytelling, and especially helping with the academics that we have. So Chelsea and Cochita are very excited to work with them on this project. So that's being able to help us fund that portion. This is a lot of the funds from them are going to the collaborators. So also our sound engineer and some materials.
Educate me on Artelect. I've not heard of that entity.
Yes.
Tell us more about Artelect.
Yes, so Artelect is an incredible organization that does, they're kind of like cohort classes for artists in entrepreneurship, which is really great, being able to just, learn from professionals in the field. That's kind of their big thing. It's not like textbook. You're learning people who have been doing this. So you have a cohort of artists every so many weeks that start. So you're meeting with other individual professional artists that are aligned with, your vision. If you're looking to sell commercial pottery, so you'll be meeting with a commercial potter. If you're looking more of building those gallery relationships and representation, you'll be working with, someone in the gallery scene. So it's very tailored to what you're looking for and to move forward as a full-time artist.
Dynamic. In many opportunities come from a village making things possible. So we're glad to be a part of that at the Talk Shop 93.5 FM KOCA. in Laramie, Wyoming, serving the Laramie area for more than 23 years. That's KOCA 93.5 FM. And you brought, first of all, a little backup. I had suggested that we go to the Gorgon Gallery and we see some of these things, and then we thought, we're going to tease you a little bit. What did you bring to tempt our tastes for MIGRACIon BETABELEROS?
Yes. I am such a tactile person that I always love a little show and tell. For people who are listening, I have a bit of fabric here with some decorative stitching. And for those watching, I'll pretend it's like a shirt. And this is a section of what will be the final quilt of the piece. So this will be on the floor. There are two parts to it. So we also have this guy, same thing. This will be on the floor, and that'll be what
similarity.
Houses walk over. Yeah, so this was actually just a sample that I'd made to kind of get my hands moving and get the idea out of my head and into material.
Right.
So this has
sculptors call those maquettes, isn't that right?
Correct. Yep, a maquette. Mm-hmm. My studio is riddled with them at this point.
Beautiful.
But so this is a very small scale of what the final piece will be. The actual quilt will be comprised of pieces that are this big.
Okay.
So quite a bit larger than this guy. But these will get stitched together and have that quilt.
What's a taste of the significance of each of those textiles?
Yeah, so the kind of sample piece is just part of my learning process in terms of, okay, this has to get out and become physical for me to understand it. And this is, if I was able to hold them up and you will be able to see them easily, that you can see that they have a jagged edge in the middle of them.
Right.
That is the path that my family would drive from South Texas to northern Wyoming. So as visitors come to the gallery and move through the space, they'll be able to walk this path.
Follow your journey.
And follow my family's journey of these quilt pieces that have been able to, I don't know, there's a lot of effort into textiles, even that you don't see.
How important is the color, the texture, the impact on the impression you want to make? How important are those features?
They're pretty important for me. So this is hand dyed by my husband. Thank you so much, Jimmy. He's been helping me a lot as a studio assistant, though that is not his training. So we've been able to work on this, and I wanted them to be really natural looking, so you can tell they're not an even color. Maybe through camera they look like that, but in person they have some variation within them. And I wanted them to really feel like fields, so they'll each be stitched on top of, similarly to this other sample, and then they'll be stitched together. So they'll have that very pieced effect that you might see from a satellite image over agricultural fields.
Do you bring them together with wire, string, thread, yarn?
It'll be thread, so it's like a traditional quilt. It won't be as warm or as cozy because it won't have the cotton kind of stuff inside. But I wanted it to be able to, as an artist who is working from home, fortunately, I have a dedicated studio space in my home. I don't have room for a ton of stuff, so part of this process has been, one, finding a home for it for at least a little bit.
The migration to the 332 Gorgon Gallery.
Yeah. So part of it is that, as I work in this kind of scale, has been making them modular. So, this quilt will be huge, would be an actual quilt size, if not a little bit bigger. But because it's fabric, it'll be able to be folded up and placed inside of a box. And the same with some of the other materials. They'll be able to be deconstructed to some point and then kind of smushed in a box.
So how much easier will your installation be in Powell following this installation here in Laramie?
I think it'll be easier in one way in that I won't be the one setting it up, so I will have to like let the type A go a little bit and give them, you know, the materials, and you know they will hang it, set it
How
up.
important is your connection to who will be doing that in Powell?
It will be very important, you know. I think also, I mean, this stuff is not fragile, which is also, it makes it easiir for me to like let it go and say, yes, so this is how you hang it, these are the points you can attach to. So it'll be easier in that way, is that I'm not physically doing it, but
you'll go in early and do a final check. Right?
Yeah, right? I'll make sure it's all set.
You'll put your mind at ease.
Yeah, so it'll be
July 13th, that opening?
July 10th.
July 10th.
Yes, okay. And we'll get a time dedicated, you know.
Yeah, we're going to follow your story as you journey from Laramie to Powell, Wyoming, but we're gonna do some components through this opening at each junction that we can, and we've talked about some of those things that we'll do, and look forward to surprising the audience and taking an in-depth look as only you can with an artist and those that enjoy that visual presentation. What else did you bring to surprise us?
Yes, so back maybe behind here, people might be able to see. I have this large, it kind of at this point looks like maybe like a deflated football. For people who are just listening and not watching, I have a very like pale colored tan, it looks like a football that's been deflated, sculpture. So this is the sugar beet that will hang in the gallery. I'll kind of prop it back up there, make it look like it has some form.
Very good.
But this is something that, you know, I've never sewn a sculpture this large. So for me, it's been a lot of learning of sewing, flipping it out, inside out, and seeing it, like kind of manipulating, making sure it's sitting right, and then seeing that it's still not sitting right and sewing it again. So pattern making is not my forte, but being able to understand what stitches will do in certain spots has been really important for me in making this. And as I was bringing this in, I recalled our conversation last time, wondering if I was you'd asked me if I was a details person.
That's right.
And this, though it has taken truly hours of stitching on here, I think it just really brings it to life, and that's again something that you wouldn't see from across the room, but as you get close to it, you can see the kind of texture that it creates of this kind of organic shape. It's just almost stacked concentric lines, very organic, wiggly around this beat, and I wanted that, one, not only as a stylistic thing, because I am a details person, but as a functional thing, because this is constructed in a more traditional quilt-like. It has that cotton inside of it that needed to be attached in some way. So rather than making some sort of connection that looks unorganic or just kind of placed on there, I really wanted something that, though it would take a long time and did, looks more natural. So you see past its function and it becomes decorative. So that was really fun and important to me.
And what kind of total body are we looking at? 3 foot by 5 foot, 6 foot?
Yeah, let's see. It is probably 3 feet wide and 3.5, 4 feet long. This will be, right now it's just a little husk, so it will get stuffed later today. As I start really working in the gallery this week. Yeah, so it'll be probably about like my torso size. And it'll be bigger once it has its leaves added up to the top, and it'll have threads coming out to kind of reference roots.
When you, how important is wire in giving shape and body and depth to what you're doing?
Yeah, so this piece,
gravity is an unseen power in in your shape and given form.
Gravity is a sculptor's worst friend, and that's something that my professor used to tell me, and it is true, because it's like, oh, you have this really great idea, but how will it stand? How will it not rip itself down from however it's sitting? But for this one, I've actually employed a lot more sewing techniques for structure. Okay. So this will have minimal wire. Here up at the top, it will have much more wire because that's where the actual hanging apparatus will attach. So I want that structure. The rest of the body, however, will have boning in it, which is most often used in corsetry, making corsets.
Okay. And the science of nature comes into play as well, giving shape to spider webs, and how you sew. The pattern of sewing might resemble a spider web or something dynamic in nature like that, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So today's the 4th.
Today's the 4th.
4 days.
Yup.
Wow.
That's exactly how I feel.
I just have to give a moment of appreciation, because we've shared 3 or 4 visits now, and Ismael Dominguez in Studio 255. We appreciate you joining us. What else would you share with somebody who's unfamiliar with any of our other interviews and might be just joining us? Perhaps it's an invitation to March 8th, 6 p.m.
Yeah, so this installation, as we touched on, is an homage to my family and the other migrant workers of Wyoming across the U.S. and the world. This specifically is talking to sugar beet workers, BETABELEROS, that's what that means, beet worker, beet fielder, farmer. And this is just to give, it is to give visitors a very different taste of that experience. My mother and aunt and father were of the last generation of betabeleros. I remember growing up in around the fields that they used to work in, and there would only be maybe 5 or 6 people in a field when my mom was doing it. It would be 30, 40, 50, in every field. So it is now kind of a dead thing as agriculture has come and utilized technology.
Is that due to, I was going to say, is that due to automation?
Mm-hmm. It is. So I want people, especially, in this region of Wyoming where we don't have as much of that agricultural sense, to be able to think about, how food gets on our tables, how much sugar is actually made from sugar beets still to this day that ends up on our tables, even if people aren't in those fields. So it's for migrant workers, the betabeleros. It's for agricultural workers to know how we get food on our table. And I want people to have just some kind of reference for that. So as they walk through the space, they can understand just a little bit more of the history of Wyoming and the work that people do. So if you are interested, we would love to have you on March 8th, this Saturday, from 6 to 8. We'll have a reception. We'll have snacks, beverages. We'll have, I'll be saying a few words, as well as Chelsea Escalante, Dr. Escalante, will be talking a bit more about the historical aspect of the betabeleros. I'll be talking a little bit more about the social family story side of that.
Beautiful. Had mention of the power of nature, and one such fan of nature is Waikola Lodge. Waikola Lodge is just 48 miles on Highway 230 towards Walden from Laramie, and they will be sharing with you 2 certificates for lodging stay credit at Waikola Lodge in support of MIGRACIon, BETABELEROS, and that is for you to utilize. Their hope is that you might use one. And that then the other might be an incentive for those that sign in the guest book to randomly be selected for the prize win of that stay. And in any event, it's creative, and we like the gesture, and we certainly welcome that and present that to you, Ismael. So congratulations in that. The support is growing for
It is.
your upcoming installation, March 8th, 6 p.m.
It is. Thank you so much. I had no idea of that.
There is more to come on the Talk Shop, and we will be following another story with Ismael not long from here.